Hello there, Pattaya. It's Dr. Iain. And no, I'm not in the hospital. I'm actually at the Pattaya Mail building. And I'm in an area which looks like a cross between an office and Aladdin's cave. With me is my very special guest, Peter Malhotra, who is the managing director, the general manager, everything, general factotum of the Pattaya Mail Media Group. Welcome to your own program, Peter.
Thank you, Dr. Iain. Good to see you here today.
Indeed it is. And of course, this is something which is fairly special because Pattaya Mail has turned sweet 16. Now, please, Peter, tell us, why did you start a newspaper in the first place? And secondly, why in English?
The funny part about this is this question would be, I wanted to make a lot of money, easy money. But of course it wasn't easy, as we found out. I've lived in Pattaya now for 35 years, and 16 years ago it was almost 20 years. We ran a clothing business, a tailoring shop. Most of our customers, actually all of our customers, are foreigners. English-speaking, German-speaking, Scandinavian-speaking. And then, as this town was growing, the whole area also grew. Became an industrial area along the Eastern Seaboard. And there were a lot more people coming here to live permanently, bringing their families to stay here. And during that period, and I can feel that, because when people go to some place and live there for a certain period of time, they want to know about the place. They want to know about the news, the happenings, that things are going on around them. And Pattaya had no source of information in those days. The only papers available were the national papers, and unfortunately, they did not write very much about Pattaya, except if there was a big scandalous news, something that happened here. So it's very unhappy. It's a very unhappy feeling when you're in the dark all the time. You don't know anything, and I felt for that. So, feeling for that, I think we should do something about that, because I knew that Pattaya was growing. The whole of the Eastern Seaboard was growing, and we're going to have a lot more expat foreign people coming to live in this area. So it was about time that somebody did something about giving them information, letting them know what's going on around them, because then they're not left in darkness anymore. And I think that also is quite important for families, because when families are unhappy, they don't want to live here.
Right. Let's go back 16 years, that very first edition of Pattaya Mail. How many people were on staff?
2, 3 at the most. We were really struggling back then. We all played the editors. We all for fighting to play editors. We all knew, we knew it all. We even had one reporter, and the original editor, Chuck Pringle. He played the graphics person too, so he was doing all the work on his computers to get the paper going. So staff-wise, there weren't any, so to speak, right?
Compare that to today. How many staff in Pattaya Mail today?
Today, you walk around this building here, and we probably have to put traffic lights in this building, because I think we have about 60 people running around this building now.
Again, looking at your 16 years of Pattaya Mail, tell us some of the highlights or even lowlights in that time.
Highlights, it was a thrill. The highlights were that we felt that we were doing a service to the community. And in the initial days, people were skeptical about whether we would survive. They thought, even we were skeptical. we didn't even know if we were going to come out next week. But this is 836. Actually, next week's is 834, which makes it 16 years. And we've come out every week ever since. Now, the highlight, in the early days, we were quite brave or quite bold in our news reporting. We did a lot of crime stories. We did a lot of, things about foreign crime criminals that were running around this place and things like that. But after a while, we started to realize that this was not the way to be constructive, not a way to be to help the community. I mean, it's easy to write negative stories, but it's also better to help this community. I know your question was, what was the highlight? I think everything was a highlight. Every edition of the newspaper is a highlight, because like Dan Dorothy, our editor, says, he every time we finish a newspaper, he said, "That's the best Pattaya Mail we have this week." So every paper, every edition was the highlight. Right. And of course, many highlights. Other people started to come in and get involved. Yourself, Dr. Iain Corness, who walked into the offices, "Let's do a motoring column." And I know you like to tell that story. And I says, "Why do we need a motoring column?" But in the end, it wasn't just the motoring column. It's the dining column. It's the medical column, the photography column, you name it, and a lot of other columns.